Okay, we're back over here at the workbench now. Getting ready to glue the tube into the blank. You'll need a pin tube insertion tool, and you can make them. As you can see, I took a dowel pin over to the disc belt sander and spun it around a couple times, made a little cone tip on it, and that holds my tube fine. It saved $10.99 and about $6-7 shipping and handling probably. And this is probably one of the most expensive and most hard to find products in pin turning, and it is super glue. Gotta have it. No way to get around it. You can use epoxy, 2-part epoxy. On some burl blanks I do use 2-part epoxy because that way I make sure there's something all the way around that tube, and it tends to hold the burl together a little bit if there's voids throughout that and stuff. But with this oak and it being already stabilized and stuff like that, we can get away with using thin CA glue. Crazy glue, super glue, it's the same thing. And let me get the glue open. I had never dreamed I would look and buy crazy glue like I do now. I look for crazy glue all over the place for a good deal. I use so much of it on my bowl blanks and pin blanks and stuff. And as you can see, I'm giving the tube a good coating of glue. That way I know I get it all over the place in my pen, in my stylus blank. And we insert it in. Make sure to get it past the tip. And there we go. Now we have our tube inserted into the blank. What we will do now is put our barrel trimmer inside the drill and use our drill press vise to hold the blank while we trim up the end and even all the blank up with the tube. You can just use a wood clamp for this if that's all you've got handy. It doesn't have to be a drill vise or anything like this. You can just use a common old wood clamp, and that'll hold it. Just something to give yourself some holding power to where it don't spin around in your hand when you start trimming the barrel up. And as you can see, I've got it inserted into the drill vise. So a little bit on that end. That's what you're looking for right there. Just that little bit of brass. When you see that little bit of brass, stop. You're there. Stop, check, see where you're at. You always want to go in with the long end of your barrel trimmer in first. I don't know, there you can see it good. Go in with that long end first, kind of lay it over into it so that way you don't get your tube all messed up on the inside. Kind of watch how I lay this down. I put the long end in first and lay it over. Always checking to see how close I am to my tube. And there we are. Now, as you can see, just that little bit of brass. And that's when you stop. Now we'll take our blank to the lathe and install it on the mandrel. Okay, now we're here at the lathe. We'll be using 7mm bushings to make this kit with. These are the bushings you'll need. These come with any 7mm drill mandrel you buy. So you'll always have 7mm bushings if you buy a 7mm mandrel to go on your drill press to turn pins and stuff with. And these also come with the starter kits of any kind of 7mm pin kits also. And you want to, I put about 3 on the end and about 3 on the front, so that way I've got good coverage all the way around. Now we'll bring our tailstock up. I'm using a mandrel saver. I like how they work a lot better than the nib on the end to tighten up the bushings with. I don't worry about warping my mandrel as much. You can get a pin mandrel for around 21 to 25 bucks from Penn State Industries. Almost everything I order for pins comes from Penn State Industries. And we'll be using a 3/4 inch roughing gouge from Penn State Industries. It's a 40th anniversary pin turning set. They're $49.95 for 6 gouges. Real good little set. I was real pleased with the gouges. A couple gouges I got from Penn State I wasn't that happy with. The smaller gouges. The big bowl gouges was fine, but the smaller gouges I wasn't that happy with. But these gouges here was excellent. I love the craftsmanship of them, how they were made. Real good sturdy tool. And that's what we'll be using here. What we'll do is bring our tailstock on up, get our blank tight between the centers so it doesn't spin on us while we're turning. That should be it right there. Okay, let's get started. Starting off, I've got the lathe speed at about 1500. That'll vary on every lathe you turn on. You can't really go by the digital RPM readout on every lathe. A lot of them it's way off, some of them it's off by just a couple RPM. You just get the feel for your lathe. And right now on this Jet 1221 MIDI lathe, I'm at 1500 RPMs. Just below center with my tool rest, and we'll start roughing out the blank here and taking the edges off of it. You want to go into the blank kind of easy at first to get the edges down. You can get more aggressive after you get those edges off. I do better to keep my blank smooth the whole way through as opposed to getting it all scarred up at the first and then trying to rough it out, or smooth it out, excuse me. I'm just barely holding the roughing gouge at a small angle away from me toward the tailstock. I've not got the flute all the way closed, and I've not got the flute all the way open. It's just at a small angle. Okay, now we'll stop and check it. Looking like it's going to have some beautiful color to it. These stabilized blanks, you can feel differences in them. One spot will turn real easy, and then you slide on down the blank, and one spot will have a different feel to it. Beautiful color in this blank. We're almost down to round. We'll move our tool rest on in a little bit. Turn the speed up. Now I'm up at 1800.